The day I found the shredded pieces of my future in our kitchen trash can, something inside me changed forever. Up until then, I'd been the good daughter, the quiet one who smiled and nodded while dying inside. But betrayal has a way of turning lambs into lions. My name is Alana, and I'm 18 years old. For months, I'd been checking our mailbox 3 times a day, waiting for that thick envelope from Stanford University. My hands would shake every time I lifted the metal lid, hope rising in my chest only to crash back down when I found nothing but bills and junk mail. Still nothing? Mom's voice carried that artificial sweetness she reserved for moments of quiet triumph. She stood at the kitchen counter, methodically chopping carrots for dinner. No, I said, dropping my backpack by the door, but they said mid-March, so maybe it's a sign. My sister Alexandra chimed in from the dining room, where she was arranging place settings with military precision. You know what Mom always says about a woman's true calling. I bit my tongue hard. They'd been tag teaming me for weeks with their little comments about realistic expectations and family traditions, but I had a 4.0 GPA and perfect SAT scores. I'd won state competitions in debate and journalism. That scholarship was mine. The next morning, while emptying the kitchen trash as part of my endless list of feminine duties, I noticed something unusual mixed in with the vegetable peelings and coffee grounds. A fragment of heavy cream-colored paper caught my eye. My heart stopped when I recognized the distinctive cardinal red letterhead. No, I whispered, dropping to my knees. My hands trembled as I began pulling out pieces of torn paper, laying them on the kitchen floor like a jigsaw puzzle from hell. What are you doing? I jumped at Alexandra's voice. She stood in the doorway, arms crossed, watching me with those cold eyes so like our mother's. Nothing, I said quickly, sweeping the pieces into my apron pocket. Just drop something. Mom wants you to help her with the laundry, she said, her gaze lingering on my pocket. Now. I nodded, forcing my face into the mask of compliance I'd worn for so long. But inside, my blood was boiling. That night, after everyone went to bed, I locked myself in the bathroom with the pieces I'd salvaged. For 2 hours, I meticulously reconstructed what remained of my acceptance letter. Tears blurred my vision as the words emerged. Pleased to inform you. Full academic scholarship. Stanford University welcomes. My hands clenched into fists, crumpling the painstakingly assembled fragments. They had done this. My own mother and sister had intercepted my acceptance letter and destroyed it, trying to kill my dreams like they'd killed their own. My phone buzzed, a text from my cousin Zoe. Did you hear anything yet? I stared at the message for a long time, my mind racing. Finally, I typed back, no, still waiting. The lie felt bitter on my tongue, but something was crystallizing in my mind. They thought they could control my future by destroying a piece of paper? They had no idea what I was capable of. I looked at myself in the bathroom mirror, really looked, and saw something new in my eyes. Gone was the dutiful daughter who bent to their will. In her place stood someone else, someone who would make them regret ever underestimating her. Game on, I whispered to my reflection, carefully tucking the reassembled pieces into my diary's secret compartment. They wanted to play family politics? Fine, but they were about to learn that some daughters bite back. As I slipped back into my bedroom, I heard Mom and Alexandra's voices drifting up from the kitchen. They were laughing about something. I closed my door silently, my jaw set with determination. Let them laugh. They wouldn't be laughing for long. The library's ancient computer hummed as I typed my email to Stanford's admissions office. My hands were shaking, but my words were clear and precise. I couldn't risk using our home computer. Alexandra had a habit of checking the browser history. I need to speak with someone about my acceptance letter, I wrote. There's been a situation. 20 minutes later, my phone vibrated. A response from Dr. Salazar, the head of admissions. My heart pounded as I read his words. Can you talk now? This number is secure. I slipped out to the parking lot, ducking behind a row of cars. Hello? Alana, this is Dr. Salazar. Tell me what's happening. The whole story poured out of me. The destroyed letter, my family's beliefs, everything. My voice cracked only once. This isn't the first time we've dealt with something like this, he said gently. We can resend your acceptance package to a secure address. Your scholarship is still valid. Tears of relief streamed down my face. Thank you. God, thank you. Alana? A familiar voice made me freeze. I turned to see Zoe walking toward me, carrying her laptop bag. Who are you talking to? Just a moment, Dr. Salazar. I whispered into the phone, then covered the microphone. Hey, Zoe, I'm ordering pizza. Zoe's eyes narrowed. She pointed to a scrap of paper that had fallen from my pocket, a piece of the Stanford letterhead I'd missed. Pizza, huh? Dr. Salazar was still talking. I made a split-second decision. Actually, could you hold for a minute? My cousin's here and I think I need her help. After finishing the call, I told Zoe everything. She sat on the curb beside me, her face growing darker with each detail. Those absolute witches, she hissed when I finished. Use my address. They'll never check my mail. You do that? Are you kidding? I've watched Aunt Victoria crush your spirit for years. It's time someone fought back. Back home that evening, I found Alexandra in my room, organizing my closet. Just helping you stay tidy, she said with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. What were you doing at the library so long? Research paper, I lied smoothly. On traditional family values, actually. Mom's been so inspiring lately. Alexandra's suspicion flickered into approval. She'll love hearing that. Oh, and Mom wanted me to tell you. The Masons are coming for dinner next week. Their son Guy just graduated law school. My stomach churned. So it was starting. The parade of suitable young men, the not-so-subtle push toward marriage and babies. I forced a bright smile. How thoughtful of Mom to think of me. That night, I started packing. Just one item at a time. Things nobody would miss. A few clothes hidden in garbage bags. Important documents slipped into old textbooks. Zoe texted me updates about the new acceptance package. It arrived. Everything's here. Scholarship info, housing forms, everything. I was reading her text under my desk lamp when a knock at my door made me jump. It was Dad, looking tired after his late shift. Everything okay, sweetheart? He asked, lingering in the doorway. You've been quiet lately. For a moment, I almost told him everything, but I remembered how he'd never once stood up to Mom, how he'd watched silently as she clipped my wings again and again. I'm fine, Dad, just thinking about my future. He nodded slowly. Whatever you decide, just be careful, okay? Something in his tone made me look up sharply. Did he know? But he was already closing the door, leaving me alone with my secrets and schemes. I pulled out the train schedule I'd hidden in my pillowcase. 3 months until freshman orientation. 3 months to play the perfect daughter while secretly dismantling every cage they'd built around me. My phone buzzed again. Alexandra, sending a group text about Guy Mason's dinner visit. I replied with a string of excited emojis, then switched back to Zoe's message to continue planning my escape. Let them think they'd won. Their victory would taste like ashes soon enough. The key to a man's heart is through his stomach, Mom declared, hovering over me as I kneaded bread dough. Guy loves homemade bread. Alexandra mentioned it specifically. I kept my eyes down, focusing on the rhythmic motion of my hands. 2 weeks had passed since discovering the shredded acceptance letter, and Mom had practically chained me to the kitchen. Speaking of Guy, Alexandra breezed in. perfectly coiffed as always. He's bringing his mother to dinner tonight. She's very traditional, so wear that blue dress I bought you. The one that makes me look like a Mormon housewife? I muttered under my breath. What was that, dear? Mom's voice carried a warning edge. I said I'd love to wear it. I smiled sweetly. Thank you for thinking of me. The doorbell rang just as I finished hiding another box of clothes in my closet's false bottom. Zoe had helped me install it last weekend while everyone was at church. Alana, Mom's voice carried upstairs. They're here. Guy Mason was exactly what I'd expected. Tall, bland, and radiating entitled confidence. His mother wore pearls and a judgmental expression that could curdle milk. Alana, Guy smiled, looking me up and down. Alexandra's told me so much about you. All good things, I hope, I said, mentally calculating how many more dinners like this I'd have to endure before escape. Halfway through the meal, Zoe showed up unannounced. Our planned interruption. Sorry to burst in, she said, not looking sorry at all. But Aunt Victoria, remember those photo albums you promised to lend me for my family history project? Mom's fork paused halfway to her mouth. Now isn't really the best time? Oh, I'd love to see family photos, Mrs. Mason exclaimed. Do show us. I could have kissed Zoe. While everyone gathered around the albums in the living room, I slipped upstairs to check my email. Dr. Salazar had sent housing assignments. What are you doing? I jumped. Alexandra stood in the doorway, eyes fixed on my laptop screen. I quickly switched tabs, but her expression told me she'd seen enough. Research, I said. For that family values paper, remember? Funny, she stepped closer. I found a train schedule in your room yesterday. Care to explain that? My heart hammered, but I kept my voice steady. School field trip. I'm chaperoning the junior class next month. You're lying. Alexandra's voice was soft, dangerous. I've been watching you, Alana. The secret phone calls, the mysterious trips to the library. You're planning something. You're paranoid. I stood up, matching her tone. But then again, guilty consciences often are. Her face paled. What's that supposed to mean? Nothing at all, dear sister. Shouldn't we get back to our guests? Downstairs, Guy was droning on about his law practice, while Mom beamed adoringly. Zoe caught my eye and raised an eyebrow. I gave a tiny nod, our signal that things were proceeding according to plan. Later that night, after everyone left, Zoe lingered behind. We need to talk, she whispered, pulling me into the garden. I found something while looking through those albums, something about your mom. What? There was a photo tucked in the back. Your mom, about our age, in front of some college. The back said, Yale, 1988, but she's always said she never wanted to go to college. My mind raced. You think she? Alana! Mom's voice cut through the darkness. Time to clean up. Tomorrow. Zoe squeezed my hand. Meet me at the library. There's more. I went back inside, my thoughts churning. Mom was directing Alexandra in wrapping leftover bread, her movements precise and controlled as always. But now I wondered what other secrets she was wrapping up, just as carefully. Did you enjoy meeting Guy? She asked, not looking up. He seems nice, I said carefully. Good, because he'll be joining us for dinner twice a week from now on. I gripped the counter, steadying myself. 2 months until orientation. I just had to keep playing their game for 2 more months. But Mom's hidden college photo nagged at me. What else was she hiding? And more importantly, could I use it? Hey, what's this? Leighton's voice made me whirl around. My younger brother stood in my doorway, holding a notebook I'd forgotten to hide, my college planning journal. Give me that. I lunged for it, but he danced away, flipping through pages. Stanford housing forms, meal plan options. Holy crap, Alana, are you… Leighton, please, I begged. You can't tell Mom. His eyes widened as understanding dawned. This is why you've been acting weird. You're planning to. What's going on up there? Mom's voice floated up the stairs. Footsteps followed. I grabbed the notebook and shoved it under my mattress just as Mom appeared behind Leighton. Her eyes darted between us, suspicious. Nothing, Leighton said quickly. Just borrowing a calculator. Mom's lips tightened. Alana, come downstairs. We need to talk. My stomach dropped, but I followed her to the kitchen. Alexandra was already there, holding a piece of paper with an expression of manufactured concern. Sit down, dear, Mom said softly. Too softly. I perched on a kitchen chair, heart racing. Had they found something? Did they know? We're worried about you, Alexandra began. The secretive behavior, the mysterious phone calls. I don't know what you're talking about, I said, but Mom slid a paper across the table. My blood ran cold. It was a letter, supposedly from me to Stanford, declining my acceptance. We found this in your desk, Mom said. Why didn't you tell us you decided against college? I stared at the forged letter, rage building in my chest. The signature was a decent imitation, but I'd never written this. That's not my letter, I said flatly. Denial won't help, sweetie, Alexandra sighed. We know you've been struggling with this decision. It's natural to be scared of making the wrong choice. The only wrong choice was trusting either of you, I snapped before I could stop myself. Mom's face hardened. I think you need time to reflect on your attitude. No phone for a week, and you'll help Mrs. Mason plan next month's church social. Yes, Mother, I said, the words tasting like poison. Later, I snuck into Leighton's room. He was playing video games, headphones on. I need your help, I whispered after getting his attention. He pulled off his headphones. With running away to college? Please don't tell. Relax, he cut me off. I saw what they did with your real acceptance letter. Found the pieces before you did, actually. Just didn't know what to do about it. Relief flooded through me. Will you help me? He nodded. What do you need? Cover for me tomorrow. I need to meet Zoe at the library. Done. But Alana. His face grew serious. Be careful. Mom's been talking to Guy's mother about some summer engagement party. The next day, Zoe and I huddled in the library's back corner. I told her about the forged letter. They're getting desperate, she said. But look what I found. She pulled out an old newspaper clipping. Your mom's engagement announcement from 25 years ago. But look at the date. Then look at this. She showed me another clipping, a Yale admission notice with my mother's name, dated 3 months after the engagement. She got in, I breathed. She got into Yale after getting engaged. And never went, Zoe finished. Want to bet your grandmother had something to do with that? My phone buzzed. A text from Alexandra. Where are you? Mom's looking. I have to go, I said, standing. But first, I snapped photos of both clippings. They might come in handy later. Walking home, I passed Guy Mason's law office. Through the window, I saw him laughing with some colleagues. My future husband, according to Mom's plans. Not gonna happen, I muttered, clutching the newspaper clippings in my pocket. Mom might have let her dreams die, but I refused to be another casualty of this family's twisted traditions. Besides, I thought with grim satisfaction, Grandma's 80th birthday party was coming up. What better time to break the cycle than in front of the whole family? Who's that? I asked, pointing to a woman in an old photo album. She looked like a younger version of Mom, but with wild hair and a rebellious smile. Grandma Hazel snapped the album shut. That's your Aunt Poppy. We don't discuss her. Why not? She made her choices, Grandma said tersely. Now, about your dress for my birthday celebration. But I couldn't stop thinking about Aunt Poppy. Later, I cornered Dad in his study. What happened to Mom's sister? Dad looked up from his newspaper, something flickering in his eyes. Poppy, she left for college against your grandmother's wishes. Full scholarship to Berkeley. He paused. Your mother was supposed to go to Yale that same year. But she didn't, I pressed. Because of you? No, Dad's voice grew quiet. I actually encouraged her to go. But your grandmother and Aunt Alexandra, your mom's older sister, they had other ideas. When Poppy left, they tightened their grip on your mother. A knock interrupted us. Alexandra stood in the doorway, eyes narrowed. Mom's looking for you, Alana. The Masons are here to discuss the engagement party. I found Mom in the living room with Mrs. Mason, surrounded by bridal magazines. There you are, Mom beamed. We were just discussing dates. How does August sound? August? My voice cracked. That's, that's only 3 months away. Perfect timing. Mrs. Mason nodded approvingly. Guy wants to be settled before the new year. My phone buzzed. A text from Zoe. Found Poppy. She's in San Francisco. Want her number? Excuse me, I mumbled, fleeing to the bathroom. My hands shook as I dialed the number Zoe sent. Hello? A warm voice answered. Aunt Poppy, this is Alana, Victoria's daughter. Silence then. Well, holy shit. Does your mother know you're calling? No, I need your help. They're trying to do to me what they did to Mom. History repeating itself. Poppy sighed. Listen carefully, kiddo. Your mom wasn't always like this. She was brilliant, had big dreams. Then I left for college and everything changed. What happened? Your grandmother and Alexandra convinced her that my life was a cautionary tale, said I was living in sin, bringing shame to the family. Last I heard, I was written out of the will. But you're successful, right? I asked desperately. Happy? I'm a professor at Berkeley now, married to a wonderful woman. Haven't spoken to Victoria in 20 years, but I see her in the Christmas cards she sends back unopened. My heart raced. Aunt Poppy, would you come to Grandma's birthday party next month? You're plotting something, aren't you? She chuckled. You remind me of your mother at your age, before they broke her. Will you come? Wouldn't miss it. Send me the details. That evening, I found an old photo tucked behind Mom's dresser mirror, her and a young man in front of Yale's campus, both beaming. He wasn't Dad. His name was Marcus. Alexandra's voice made me jump. Mom's college boyfriend, the one Grandma said would ruin her life. I turned to face my sister. Like Poppy ruined hers? Alexandra's face hardened. We protected Mom, like we're protecting you. By destroying my acceptance letter, by forcing me to marry Guy? You'll thank us someday, she said, but something in her voice wavered. Like Mom thanks you? I held up the Yale photo. Does she look like she needs protection here? Does she look happier now? Alexandra snatched the photo. You don't understand anything. I understand enough, I said, walking away. And soon, everyone else will, too. That night, I emailed Dr. Salazar confirming my housing assignment. Then I sent a message to Poppy with the party details. Mom's voice drifted up from downstairs, discussing wedding plans with Mrs. Mason. I thought about that Yale photo, about the light in her eyes that I'd never seen before. I'm sorry, Mom, I whispered to myself, but I won't let them dim my light like they dimmed yours. The country club buzzed with pre-party tension as I helped arrange flowers for Grandma's birthday celebration. Mom fluttered around, directing caterers and fussing over place cards, while Alexandra trailed behind her with a clipboard. The Masons are seated at the main table, of course, Mom said, adjusting a centerpiece. Next to you, Alana. Actually, I smiled sweetly. I made a few adjustments to the seating chart. Mom froze. You did what? Just some minor changes to better accommodate everyone. Alexandra grabbed the chart, her face darkening. Who's Poppy Delgado? You didn't... Surprise, I said softly. Mom's face went white. You invited my sister? She RSVP'd, yes. Isn't family important, Mom? Isn't that what you always say? Before she could respond, Zoe burst through the doors. The photographer's here, and you'll never guess who just pulled up in a Tesla. Mom gripped a chair for support as Poppy strode in, looking exactly like her photo but 20 years older. Designer suit, confident stride, and Mom's eyes in a fiercer face. Victoria, Poppy said coolly, you look traditional. You're not welcome here, Mom hissed. Actually, I have an invitation from my lovely niece. Poppy winked at me. We've been having the most interesting conversations lately. Alexandra stepped between them. Whatever you're planning. Planning? I interrupted. Like how you plan to destroy my acceptance letter? Or how you plan my entire future without asking me? Lower your voice, Mom snapped, glancing around nervously. Why? Afraid someone might hear the truth? Alana, Dad appeared beside me, his face worried. What's going on? Ask them. I nodded toward Mom and Alexandra. Ask them about Yale, Dad. Ask Mom about Marcus. Mom's face went from white to gray. Behind her, Grandma Hazel entered the room, stopping short at the tableau before her. Poppy? Grandma's voice quavered. What are you doing here? Hello, Mother. Poppy smiled grimly. Still controlling everyone's lives, I see. Zoe touched my arm. The package arrived. It's at the front desk. My heart jumped. The new Stanford acceptance letter, pristine and official, ready for its debut. Don't do this, Alexandra pleaded quietly. Think about the family. I am, I replied. I'm thinking about how many dreams this family has killed. The room was filling with guests now. Guy Mason appeared, moving toward me with his practiced smile, but stopped when he saw my expression. Everything okay here? He asked uncertainly. Perfect timing, I said. You should stay for this. It concerns our engagement. Mom grabbed my arm. Alana, please, we can discuss this privately. Like you discussed my future privately? When you decided to hide my acceptance letter? The room grew quiet. Guests turned to stare. What acceptance letter? Guy asked. My phone buzzed. A text from Zoe. They're trying to block the front desk from delivering the package. Now or never. I looked around the room, at Mom's desperate face, Alexandra's cold fury, Grandma's confusion, and Poppy's encouraging nod. Dad stood silent, as always, but something in his eyes had changed. You know what? I announced loudly, pulling away from Mom. I think it's time for an early toast to family secrets and the courage to expose them. Alana, don't, Alexandra started, but I was already walking toward the front desk, where my future waited in a crisp envelope. Behind me, I heard the rising murmur of voices, Mom's frantic attempts at damage control, and Poppy's distinct laugh. Ready? Zoe whispered, falling into step beside me. I thought of Mom's Yale photo, of her bright eyes before they dimmed, of all the women in my family who had their wings clipped. Ready, I said firmly. It's time everyone knew the truth. Before we continue with Grandma's birthday celebration, I said, standing at the podium with the Stanford envelope in my hands, I'd like to share something with everyone. The room fell silent. Mom half rose from her chair, but Dad gently pulled her back down. 3 months ago, I received an acceptance letter from Stanford University, full scholarship. I held up the pristine envelope. This is actually my second copy. Would anyone like to guess what happened to the first one? Alexandra stood up. Alana, that's enough. I found it in the kitchen trash, I continued, my voice steady. Torn to pieces by my own mother and sister. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Mrs. Mason clutched her pearls. Guy's mouth hung open. That's ridiculous, Mom said loudly. Alana is confused. We've already discussed. Leighton, I called out. Tell everyone what you found in the trash that day. My brother stood up slowly. I I saw Mom tearing up a letter with Stanford's logo. Alexandra was helping her. Mom's face crumpled. We were protecting you? Like you protected me, Victoria? Poppy stepped forward. Like Mother protected you from Yale? The room went completely still. Grandma Hazel gripped her cane tighter. What is she talking about? Guy's mother demanded. I pulled out the old Yale photo. This is my mother, 25 years ago, accepted to Yale with a full scholarship, but someone decided that wasn't the right path for her. Don't, Grandma warned. Show them the other photo, Poppy urged. The one with Marcus. I held up the second photo. This was Mom's boyfriend at the time. They were both going to Yale. But then, suddenly, Mom was engaged to Dad instead. Funny how that worked out. We did what was best, Grandma said firmly. Victoria understood that eventually. Did she? I turned to Mom. Is that why you keep this hidden behind your mirror? Is that why you cry sometimes when you think no one's watching? Mom's hands trembled. You don't understand. I understand perfectly. You let them break you, and then you tried to break me too. I faced the crowd. They forged a letter declining my acceptance. They arranged my engagement to Guy without asking me. They tried to force me into the same cage they've lived in. Alana, Guy started. I had no idea. Of course you didn't. I cut him off. You were just another bar in their cage. Alexandra surged forward. Everything we did was for your own good. Look what happened to Aunt Poppy. Divorced, living in sin. Actually, Poppy smiled. I'm a tenured professor at Berkeley, happily married to my wife of 15 years. My only sin was choosing my own path. Enough, Grandma shouted, rising shakily. This is my birthday party, and I Won't have what, Mother? Poppy challenged. The truth? How many women in this family have you silenced? How many dreams have you killed? Victoria, Dad spoke up suddenly. Tell them the truth, please. Mom stood slowly, tears streaming down her face. I I wanted to go to Yale. I had dreams of becoming a journalist. She looked at me. Dreams like yours, Alana. So why didn't you? I asked softly. Because I was a coward, she whispered. Because I let them convince me that duty was more important than dreams. And then I became just like them. The room erupted in shocked whispers. Mrs. Mason was already heading for the door, pulling a stunned Guy behind her. I have something else to announce, I said, opening the Stanford envelope. I'm going to college. I'm breaking this cycle, and if anyone tries to stop me, no one will stop you, Dad interrupted, standing. I'll make sure of it. Alexandra stormed out. Grandma sank into her chair, looking suddenly old. But Mom just stood there, staring at the Yale photo in her hands. I'm sorry, she whispered, so quietly I almost missed it. I'm so sorry, Alana. The damage was done. The truth was out. And in that moment, looking at my mother's tears, I realized revenge didn't taste as sweet as I'd imagined. The morning after Grandma's party, I found Mom sitting alone in our kitchen, staring at her Yale acceptance letter, the original one Dad had kept hidden all these years. I never knew he saved it, she said without looking up. All this time, your father. Why did you do it? I asked, sitting across from her. Why did you try to take my dreams away? She traced the letterhead with her finger. Because I thought I was protecting you from pain, from regret. But really? Her voice cracked. I was just passing on my own pain, making you pay for my choices. The doorbell rang. Aunt Poppy stood on our porch, suitcase in hand. My flight's not until tonight, she said. Thought we could talk. Mom stiffened but nodded. We gathered in the living room. the air heavy with decades of unspoken words. I brought something. Poppy pulled out an old journal. Your articles from the school paper, Victoria. You were brilliant. Mom's hands shook as she took the journal. You kept these? Of course I did. You were my sister. Are my sister. Alexandra burst in, eyes red from crying. The Masons called. The engagement's off. Good, I said firmly. How can you say that? She demanded. You've ruined everything. No, Mom stood up suddenly. I ruined everything 25 years ago when I let Mother dictate my life, when I chose fear over freedom. But tradition? Alexandra started. Tradition is peer pressure from dead people. Poppy interrupted. Look what it's cost this family. Dad appeared in the doorway, carrying a stack of papers. I've been making some calls. Stanford's housing office needs these forms signed today. Mom reached for the papers, then hesitated. Everyone held their breath. I'll sign them, she said quietly. On one condition. My heart sank. What condition? That you help me apply to night classes at the community college. She smiled weakly. It's time I finished my own story. Alexandra sank into a chair. You can't be serious. I am, and you're welcome to join us, Alexandra. It's never too late to change. The front door opened again, Grandma Hazel leaning heavily on her cane. Mother, Mom straightened. I have nothing more to say to you. Then listen, Grandma said. I was wrong about everything. My own mother crushed my dreams, and I did the same to you and to Poppy. The cycle ends here. She pulled an envelope from her purse. This is for you, Alana, your first semester's books and supplies. And this, she handed Mom another envelope, is for your classes. Poppy wiped her eyes. Well, damn. Maybe old dogs can learn new tricks. Language, Grandma said automatically, then laughed. A real laugh, maybe her first in years. I looked around the room, at Mom holding her Yale letter, at Dad's proud smile, at Alexandra's confused but softening expression, at Poppy and Grandma, bridges mending slowly but surely. I leave for Stanford in 3 weeks, I said. But maybe we could all have dinner before then? Talk about everything? I'd like that, Mom whispered. Later, helping Poppy with her suitcase, I asked the question that had been burning in my mind. Was it worth it? The way I did it, exposing everything so publicly? She considered this. Truth hurts, but lies poison. You ripped the bandage off a wound that needed air to heal. Some people will never forgive me. Some people never forgive anyone. But look, your mom's going back to school. Your grandmother's facing her mistakes. Even Alexandra might come around. Sometimes a family needs an earthquake to fix its foundation. I hugged her goodbye, then went to find Mom. She was in her room taking down the old photos she'd hidden for so long. Help me put these in an album? She asked. I think it's time to stop hiding. I sat beside her, and together we began piecing together the past, not to dwell in it, but to learn from it, to build something new from the ruins of what was broken. Sometimes the truth shatters everything, but sometimes, in the breaking, we find exactly what we need to rebuild.